AirBnB. Hello and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to my channel. My name is Mark Hancock, and today we're going to be doing a scam blocker. AirBnB, a place where you can have one person who's a stranger and another person who's a stranger, one with a home and one without a home, can come together. What could possibly go wrong? So if you're not familiar with my story, I actually moved from Florida to California with little to no notice, with really not much money saved up, and I had to use Airbnb a couple of times just to get across. What if I told you I nearly lost $1,500 when trying to use Airbnb one day? We nearly got robbed through Airbnb. $1,500 almost would have been gone, and I never would have seen that money again. So today in this video, we're going to be talking about how to identify Airbnb scams or rental scams and how to protect yourself. Airbnb is now the largest hotel chain, and they don't even own any hotels. Airbnb operates in over 191 countries and 65,000 cities and has over 3 million listings. They are huge. Who would have thought that a platform in which case one person trusts a stranger to come into their house and live together for a night, who would have thought that that would work? Now, if you're not familiar with Airbnb, you should consider watching this video, which is by the co-founder, who talks about how trust actually plays an interesting part in what makes Airbnb work. But where there's trust, there's always bound to be some slimy scam artist that tries to take your money. So without further ado, here's the story on how me and my friend nearly got robbed through Airbnb. My friend and I were actually looking for a place to stay in California since we were about to move all the way across the country, when we came upon an unusually good listing. The place was underpriced, it was furnished, it looked beautiful, and a nice location that we definitely wanted to stay in. So, of course, I emailed them and inquired about it, and so once I submitted my information, I was then contacted by someone who was claiming to be the owner. And the email itself was actually well crafted by a person who seemed to have perfect English. They were professional and didn't really have any signs that would normally indicate that this was any sort of a phishing email or a scam as of yet. So in my haste, thinking that this was a professional email and a professional posting, I sent over an immediate email to my friends saying it was a good deal and fired off an email in response telling them about my qualifications and inquiring about how we could actually move forward in the process. He responds by saying that Airbnb is his preferred renting platform. Now, up to this point, I hadn't actually moved out of Florida yet, so I hadn't used Airbnb in the past. So I was a little thrown off by this because I didn't really know that Airbnb actually allows you to rent through their website. So I thought it was just for the night, but it turns out you could do it for a week, you could do it for a month, and you could do it all the way up through a year. So after I kind of learned that, I thought, okay, maybe this is legit, and I decided to move forward by asking for confirmation and kind of doing a little bit of my own homework to see if there was some sort of guarantee that I wouldn't have to put down this $1,500 and then completely be out of the money if I decided not to say yes to it. So I asked them to send us some more information so that we could confirm it. And I actually got an email from an automated email address that had the confirmation in there, and it even looked legit. It looked like it was from Airbnb. It said Airbnb here. It said it in the actual address itself. I could actually look up more information about the property. I could see reviews. I could see all the things that made this property look 100% legit. I clicked the links and they actually took me to professional pages where I could view more details and pictures about the property. And when I clicked on the support page, it took me over to the actual Airbnb website. Now, in my haste, thinking this was a heck of a deal and we needed to act quickly, I, of course, attempted to move forward and make a payment on it. But then I ran into something very strange. Instead of actually being able to submit a form of payment, I was instructed to go out and buy these gift cards, which would be the only way that they would accept payment. These one vanilla gift cards that you would buy for about $500 a piece. That was a big sign for me. So at this point, it was time for me to make an all-important phone call. I dialed up Airbnb, called into the customer service, and explained my situation, in which case they told me that I was indeed dealing with a fraudulent post. And it wasn't actually even being done through Airbnb at all. It was actually just a listing on Airbnb that the guy essentially just sent me an email and took me off to a totally different site. He then told me to add the email address to my email blocker so that I couldn't continue communication with them, and I forwarded off all those emails to their security team, in which case they were going to actually professionally investigate it. He mentioned that these scams have been popping up more and more frequently, so I thought I'd make this video to help educate some of those folks who might be worried that they might run into something similar. And so fear not, I'm going to cover some best practices that are listed on the website for determining what is fraudulent and what is not. So the first sketchy sign is when a place is being offered at a below market rental rate. Scammers want to push you to make the decision, so they offer you a good deal that makes you click on it and want to move quickly to capture that property or to get that value instead of walking away from it because someone else got it. Number two is when they actually request you to wire the money. Legitimate landlords never ask renters to wire money to any account, especially an account located abroad. Nor do they ask for money by Western Union, MoneyGram, or other money transferring services. Number three is if they request to use a different listing service or an escrow account to transfer the money. Two of the most popular are Airbnb and HomeAway. They even use fake escrow accounts to make renters believe that they're dealing with a legitimate entity. Number five is the dramatic landlord story, which is similar to the video that I posted about how Craigslist folks will tend to tell you a story so that they can get you emotionally invested in the actual deal itself. They'll say something like, oh, I just lost my job and so I need to move to a different place, so I'm renting this place out now. I have to get it done within 24 hours. And in my case, it was, well, my daughter is moving back to Spain, but he didn't create very much urgency, so it was still to me like, okay, perhaps. That kind of threw me off. And number five, when they say they cannot meet in person. Instead, they're gonna give you a code to get into the lockbox, or we're gonna mail it to you, or I'm gonna fly to see you once you're all moved in. Those sorts of things just simply don't work. You need to meet with the landlord, or if anything, at least Skype them. And the final tip I will give you guys is always use the platform to do communication through. For example, Airbnb has their own personal communication tool where you email through the app, you message through the app, you review through the app. That way you know everything is legitimately through Airbnb. They can track it, they can verify the sources, they can verify the people. You have to create a profile, and then all those reviews are tied to that profile, so you can't really fake it. The moment they try to take you off to a different website or take it just to email or over the phone, that's when things can get a little sketchy because you're not really able to verify the information that they're giving you. I have the highest recommendations for Airbnb. I had a great time doing it. As you can see from some of the videos, I had a great time hanging out at some of these different places, meeting some of these people. It was cheap, it was affordable, it was fun, it all worked out. It was better than what I expected. So I have a high recommendation for Airbnb. This video is not to derail you from ever wanting to use it. This video is to help educate some of you guys to not fall into that situation that I found myself in, where I was about to use Airbnb or even HomeAway to be able to pay for a property, and what I thought was a legitimate process turned out to be fraudulent. If you'd like to see some more of my content or would just like to follow my journey out here in California as I've decided to take on an entrepreneurial lifestyle and try to create my own income on the side, feel free to follow the journey. Feel free to give a subscribe or give a like to the video if you learned something and found something valuable. And hey, I'd love to hear in the comment section below if you're planning on using Airbnb in the future. If you have used it, what's your overall opinion of it? Have a question for me personally? Feel free to drop a comment in the comment section below. Be sure to engage with my videos because it helps me not only produce better content, but it helps me understand what you guys are looking for. That's all for me today, folks, and I will see you on the next video. Goodbye for now.